right, welcome to the Desperado's Lounge. This podcast is pretty much just a bunch of dudes talking casually on topics that we have some knowledge of and we express our thoughts. This podcast is pretty much strictly just most of my local friends here, and without further ado, I am FMD, host of this lounge, alongside with my other friends. Introduce yourselves, people.
I am Tearfield.
I'm Sway Unto Dawn.
I'm featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Oh god!
And I'm that ultimate anime hero.
No.
You could have just said like that's your gambler. Like,
No, screw that.
Name
We're,
pending.
we're sticking with this name for the month, boys.
all right, then I'm just gonna call you Dante then.
Mario FD, FT,
FT.
D. Trying to find the rest.
What?
CS. There we go.
Wow.
FDMC.
Yeah. So FDF, T, CS.
Wait.
Well,
Oh
Don's
my
gonna call you
God.
Dante then.
Is that what
At this
is?
point, we may as well go with it.
It's for the month. Don't worry.
Other than
Yeah,
that,
nicknames. Are they useful? I don't know.
probably, I mean, it depends on who listens to this. Hopefully, we get some people listening in. We decided to just come together, record ourselves talking nonsense, and
That's so brave of
hopefully we get people to tag along and enjoy the conversations that we provide in the podcast. This is free of charge for people that watch this on YouTube, obviously. So if you'd like what you see, obviously subscribe, comment, do all that other generic nonsense that
That's
most
just
content
way-
creators tend to do.
Yeah.
Like,
sit back.
Without, I'm sorry.
Let's say so. Sit back, relax, pop open a beer, join us at Desperado's Lounge.
Why it's gotta be a beer?
It could be anything.
It
God.
could, it could be anything
water.
at this point.
Drink water.
Anyways, this podcast discussions, we have plenty of things we can talk about. I know that some of these topics are already late. We have some thoughts that we can provide for open discussion, such as E3 2021. We can provide some of the worst panels, some of the things we loved about, some things that we were hoping to see but didn't came to fruition. Alongside, we also have other things that we can talk about, such as anime and other games that we've recently been playing, checking to see our general thoughts on it and so forth, and we'll kind of improv as we go. So, E3 came and went a few weeks ago, and we've had quite an interesting showing. We've had such as Ubisoft and EA, the PC show, the Amazon show. We
that?
also had there was an Amazon show, game
the
I
summer
realize it. Wow.
thought
Summer
Verizon.
Games Fest. It
No,
was Summer
Verizon
Games
was there,
Fest.
too. Verizon.
Summer Games
Verizon?
Fest.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah, Summer Games Fest was shown on Amazon. Amazon wanted to compete with E3, so they
Everything got
broadcasted
corporate.
a day before E3. So Jeff Keighley was the one hosting all this stuff and been showing some stuff, and we gotten some decent re-releases. We also had some ideas of the next installments for Sonic's 30th. Sonic Symphony, that's something I would like to discuss. And we also have all these other cool things. So let's begin with E3. What were the best parts of E3 from you guys, for those that watched?
Alright, I would say the pre-show was pretty much showing you already what was there. When I was watching it, the pre-show was there, I was like, oh cool. It shows some games that I was like, oh alright. And then I saw the same game again in the announcement. I was like, oh, then what was the point of the main show if you're just showing it in the pregame? And I was like, well, that took away from my experience and a little waste of time too if you're just going to show me the same thing, you know?
Just padding out for time.
Yeah.
Well,
It was
it's showing previous E3s. I mean, that's all it really
Oh
is.
no, it was like showing like stuff. Like I saw Guardians of the Galaxy in the pre-show a little bit.
Oh, you did.
And then they showed it again. Like, oh, well, check it out, guys.
But was
We had
it?
to pretend.
Is it a teaser for game? for what was it called again? Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched that. Remember? You
Yep,
were uninterested.
I was not interested at all. But I'm looking at it from an adult's eyes. A kid must be going crazy waiting for that game. That's got to be
No
the most
Batista.
It must have been pretty interesting for a teenager to be growing up in these times, knowing that a lot of the stuff that we had back then, we were like, oh, this looks cool, or we talk about how graphics suck, but nowadays, kids don't know how easy they got it now with all these nice high-end tech engines and gameplay footage. But man, but then when you think about it, E3 kind of just got full corporate nowadays.
Yeah, they have Verizon. The hell?
Yeah. What was that?
Oh yeah, they had Verizon too. They were showcasing that.
And
as
Amazon.
Well as PC.
The hell?
Well, no, they weren't.
They're trying to appeal to a wider audience. Like,
They're doomed to fail.
Back then it was just gamers that was really paying attention. And I think the earliest show I can remember is maybe Dwayne Johnson on the stage with
Isn't that the Game
Vin
Awards?
Diesel.
Yeah,
It was Vin Diesel.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the earliest E3,
Oh.
where it was when Microsoft appeared with the Xbox, the first one, and
Right.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson came on stage.
It's me, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
That's like the first. I think it's the only time I ever remember a celebrity. I mean, there was other celebrities after, but it wasn't like to this extent where it was this corporate. Like it wasn't this corporate growing. It was very, very game oriented.
I mean, I feel like
By
they're just,
gamers,
you know,
for gamers.
yeah,
So,
they're just branching out. Like, oh, you
Does it-
guys like games? Well, hey, guess what? We also do gaming. Briar Parlix.
It's like a trend
as
to them.
as a guy that grew up
Statistic.
with, and always looking forward to E3 every year. There's been some good ones. There's been some terrible ones. There's been some very memeable ones, and we've had quite a fair share of good moments, bad moments, and unfortunately E3 had to change with the times, because now that we've had sort of direct style company videos where they can basically showcase their new game on their own platform rather than paying money every year and shelling it out and, you know, presenting it at a big stage. And that charm kind of fell flat, you know, it kind of lost it over the years. Ever since, like, you know, Nintendo kind of branched off, and Sony, and then Ubisoft, and it's like, man, you want to watch E3? It's like, no, why would I? And it's because, like, they could just stream it instead. I mean, one good thing about back in the day in E3, like 02, 03, 04, you get excited when they cover it on TV. And that charm kind of went away when the internet became a thing with streaming. And now everybody can post a reaction out of anything nowadays. So,
Wow.
Just like this.
I wouldn't say it lost its like magic because of streaming. I just think I don't think the E3 is it's going toward a wider audience. It's not really just for gamers. It's spread out among like a bunch of people who really aren't gamers. That's what I get. That's always been my feeling for the 2010s anyway, that it hasn't been. They're trying to bring in other people to play games, and then there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like it just makes it makes an uninteresting conference. Like, for instance, Battle Royale, that whole genre. It's still going, but a lot of kids, and then I see a lot of people who aren't really gamers, play those games. I see it. Yeah, the casuals.
No, I'm saying it's a casual game.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying I call those people casuals. Like,
Oh.
Filthy casuals.
and I don't mean that as an insult. You can play whatever you want, but those same people also play. They'll play Madden. They'll play FIFA. They'll play basketball
Casual
games or whatever.
mobile player.
a lot of mainstream.
Yeah, a lot of mainstream people. So as soon as it hit mainstream, I would say the quality of games changed, because mainstream now is making up the majority of the buys and
The demographic.
yeah, the demographic. And they're trying to appeal to that demographic because it makes them the most money.
Which is
Loot boxes,
which is,
DLC,
Yes.
season passes.
Because they're the main people who will continue to buy those things, and now it kind of just it ruins games. It does. It ruins the quality of game.
which is unfortunate because the charm of games back then were much better because it was for a niche audience and it was for people that were interested in said genre, and you always had something to look forward to. But nowadays, because the casual audience is now the main demographic, corporate can kind of get away with the impression that these are naive people. We can have them buy whatever that we ever provide. It doesn't have to be free.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to. Development doesn't have to end before we release it. We could just release it half-ass and then patch it as we go. That's unfortunate because
that just ruins.
It really degrades the quality and the integrity of the entire passion project that most people and the fans especially suffer for. I remember.
It makes me, when you say No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky had No Man's Sky had a Path of Exile,
Halo, MCC.
Wow.
The same thing.
Division 2.
Yeah.
Division 2.
Cyberpunk.
Oh
God.
boy. Oh boy, we know that one.
Keanu Reeves couldn't save it.
He tried. He tried.
I wonder how he felt. I've always wondered, if I ever had the chance to ever ask him one question, I've always wanted to ask, how do you feel to be part of Cyberpunk knowing that the game didn't turn out well?
He
It's a
probably had a
job.
blast.
I got paid. I did the job. It's good.
I
It's
think
all.
he'd say something like that too.
It's either that or he's branching into different things. He has his own comic book now,
Oh really?
and he's big into the movies, and he always puts like his best foot forward. So I think he was more with that game, just trying to branch out, trying to maybe push boundaries a little bit. And the execution of the game fell through a bit, but I mean,
Unfortunately.
I still have friends who play it, like, despite the bugs, and having the bugs patched out, and they're enjoying the game. So, in terms of a quality product off the shelves at launch, probably not the best, but it might be what the game is built to be is the real drive for it.
Do you know what the comic's about?
It's called Berserker.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it. I was seeing if you knew.
No, I haven't read it yet.
I could read the plot. Okay. A war with no end.
Wow.
A man known only as P is half mortal, half god, cursed and compelled to violence, even at the sacrifice of his sanity. But after wandering the world for centuries, the Berserker may have finally found a refuge, working for the US government to fight the battles too violent, too dangerous for anyone else. In exchange, B will be granted one thing he desires, the truth about his endless blood-soaked existence and how to end it. Keanu Reeves makes this comic book writing debut alongside New York Times bestselling co-writer Matt Kinty and legendary artist Ron Garney, Wolverine parentheses, and a brutally violent new series about a one immortal warrior's fight through the ages. Collected now, volumes 1 and 4 out. Alright, there you go.
Very nice.
Honestly, he probably wouldn't have anything negative to say about the Cyberpunk experience. I think
Let's
he
see.
had fun. I think he has fun doing it. He doesn't
Sure.
strike me as somebody who's he's a positive person. He doesn't strike me as somebody who's who's corporate.
The character looks like him.
Yeah,
And Wolverine
I looked
combined.
it up too. He was just like that.
It looks like him, but Wolverine, like buff, grizzly, hairy,
Wow.
out of sanity. I don't know.
Nah, you jagging Wolverine. No one else can play.
So,
Man.
I mean, in terms of overall we've discussed that E3 has branched out. It's gone more mainstream. It's not necessarily hitting the traditional audiences as much anymore, but looking at a list of E3 entries, I'm seeing that we still have, some classic general games that, it hits the classic fandom, such as like Metal Slug Tactics.
Wait, that was announced?
Yeah.
Yep. Overwatch 2, the hints,
That's
the
in
hints
development hell.
and teases, yeah, but that has a huge fan base. I mean, even though we loved and now do not love Overwatch,
It's there. I'll pick it up.
you still look at it. You still look at the headlines and you're like, Overwatch, what they got? Oh, okay.
It was just an interview.
There's a middle child at this point.
I mean,
But
Battlefield
you
6,
only show so much attention.
Battlefield 6, you got The Sims, you got Halo Infinite,
Yeah,
the Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Shin
have,
Megami Tensei.
You have some new information regarding Infinite, regarding what's going on in multiplayer, and how the gameplay is set to change a little bit.
Speaking of multiplayer.
There were some cool things I enjoyed about Infinite, or at least the demo. For one thing, it's showcasing the power of the Xbox Series X, and that's something I appreciate it because we are, for those that have been gaming for such a long time, the specs do matter in games because performance matters.
Look at the Switch.
It's no good to have a good looking game if it couldn't even run the stability of the frame rate, if I could care less about how realistic the graphics look or how the game could be played in UHD. If the hard, or at least and applaud Microsoft and 343,
Yeah,
I believe that was the
343,
other
yeah.
developer, and that they showcased that really well, and I was like, wow, that actually looks solid.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job with it.
Yeah.
It's got a it actually, because the other day I was just thinking about how when they announced it, they said it's going to be a soft reboot, and I remember whenever I think of soft reboot, I think of how the Resident Evil series came back. They came, I think it was like a few years before Resident Evil 7 came out. But when it came back, everyone started getting back into the Resident Evil series again. The remakes revitalized the series. Then they released their new Resident Evil game, Resident Evil Village. But it was because of kind of like that soft reboot. We're following a new character. The other characters are still alive and in the universe, but like it's almost kind of like a new starting point with the Resident Evil series. With Halo Infinite, it's the same thing. Like, you guys don't follow Halo that closely, but Banished, new enemy. The Harbinger, we don't know anything about them. The Cortana, there's a new AI that Master Chief is with that has parallels to the lore between these two AIs that were in conflict, thousands of years ago, and then we still don't. The Flood may be in this. They're probably going to be in this. It's just like there's so many mysteries that are so exciting, and it's just like, where is this going? There's so many questions, and I like that feeling again because it reminds me of Halo Combat Evolved, where you didn't know anything. You just wanted to go. You wanted to discover everything. You wanted to go over there. You want to learn what this is about. What is this fortress? What is this fortress of a past alien civilization? Like, learning about all those things in Halo C was so exciting, and it's great to have that feeling again. And everyone's at the same starting point, so it's a great to be back there, be back here again. And I have to apologize to Bonnie, but the game's not out yet. So, but
we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see. But so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I really want 343 to knock it out of the park. I really do. They need a win. They really need a win.
speaking of wins, I mean, speaking of soft reboots, actually, now that I think about it, Doom also had a good revival, and Doom did really well with the 2015, 2016, I think it was. I can't remember which one, but they did a really good job with rebooting itself and reinventing itself in the modern era, and they did a great job. And then we got Doom Eternal last year, and that game went really well. Soft reboots can save a franchise, and it can even reinvent itself in a way. There are good reboots, and like Doom and potentially Halo. That's good. Bad reboots, Mortal Kombat. I think we can agree.
Never touch it again.
NetherRealm.
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
They took a dump all over our boys.
If you're the fan of the fighters, then for anyone that's listening in, then you definitely would check in. And yes, Den, if you're listening to this, you're my man here. And his Rise and Fall series pretty much elaborate the original continuities as well as the current continuities of Midway era and NetherRealm eras of characters that risen but then also fallen. They got turned to main event to jobber, and so there are some good reboots and then there are terrible reboots, and Mortal Kombat was definitely a terrible reboot. Now it might end up getting rebooted again.
Good.
Oh my goodness.
Michael, how do you feel about that?
Jesus.
We definitely.
No.
We definitely need to. It's a DC writing basically, but reboots aside, that can definitely be a discussion for another time. But
DC needs a reboot.
DC always reboots itself every fucking time. Like, it's like,
oh my God.
It's like, come on, man. Do they always have to
Yes.
Reboot itself just because they mess up some error in their own continuity?
They're trying to hurry up and compete with Marvel. That's all it is. That's why they rushed the Justice League, rushed to the Justice League one, didn't give it time like Marvel did. They're just trying to hurry up and catch up so they can compete with Marvel. It ain't
They're trying to have their own cinematic thing.
Yeah, it's not.
Wait,
working.
they're trying to do that? I didn't even notice. Those movies are so bad. Except Wonder Woman.
I'm not really a movie guy, so I'm not much of a fan of DC Comics in general. So
Martha.
I mean, there are some good comics I read, like the Batman Who Laughs. That one is a pretty good comic. And Batman White Knight, unironically, that one's actually pretty decent.
I'm just going by the movie.
I love that one. But by movies, I want Superior Spider-Man to have a movie. That one would be really good. But
that's a dark take.
Yeah, it would be a good dark take. I would absolutely fucking love it. But nonetheless, though, we're here to talk about E3 and all this other stuff.
That
could be a different discussion for another time too.
Desperado. Desperado. Do you think Sonic would benefit from a soft reboot?
Hard reboot.
Man, I'm going to go off on a tangent here.
Hard reboot.
Oh,
take him off life support.
Would Sonic be benefited with a reboot? If we were to say in any form of media, yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be more specific then. When I say like soft reboot, should it go back to the 2D space or stay in the 3D space?
It should be in the 3D space.
Really? Okay. I like to hear
Classic has already exhausted itself at this point. Coming from an analytical perspective, or at least a critical perspective as a fan, as much as I love the classic formula, it's too safe. Sonic needs to jump into this new environment. I mean, Mario transitioned to 3D and he had kept evolving ever since his transition. He kept from Sunshine to Galaxy to Odyssey, it's a 3D world. He has always had some form of way to be able to change playstyle but make it very familiar to the player. Sonic, unfortunately, has been all over the place and has been a mismanaged franchise. Some people say the adventure era was when Sonic was at its best, and by controls, yes, the adventure era was probably his best approach. Unfortunately, we got games like Heroes existed, and they got to the point where they nailed the controls in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, but then they made it worse and worse as it progressed. You got the 15th anniversary in 2006, and then you also had Shadow the Hedgehog.
Best Sonic game in the world.
Poorly designed games.
Whoa! Shadow the Hedgehog is perfect. What are you talking about?
And Sonic Unleashed, while it is a good game and it's a good way to reinvent itself, unfortunately, it's not really. No, it's a solid game, but the problem is that 1, the frame rate is terrible on console. 2, the Werehog. 3, did I mention the Werehog?
No.
Or did you mention bestiality in Sonic 06?
Oh my god.
We're not gonna talk about that, okay? And so
at least kissing a hedgehog, that's sacrilegious.
So, but my idea is that yes, I think if anything, what my idea would be like is that rather than Sega or Sonic Studios, apparently that's what they're going to be called going forward, Sonic Studios.
Yeah, they're dead.
It's a rumor. It's just not really official, but they're apparently making this to be open world, where Sonic is going to be more skill tree based, RPG based.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense to me.
It's a new take on the franchise, and I think it would work, but I don't want it to be too RPG emphasis to make it sound like we reinvented itself completely, like Assassin's Creed did.
But you know what? I was gonna. You know what? I take that back, because Sonic has played the adventure games. They had items. Sonic had to get certain.
The
bracelet.
The light speed dash, which was used for in Sonic Adventure, he had the bracelet, which was used to cut down the time for the light speed dash. So I want Sonic to go back to a way where it's momentum based, but it's also open world, where you find the items in order to advance certain terrain. Like to me, I think that Insomniac Games, the people that made Spider-Man, would do really well with Sega. I think they would probably make a really good game. And I say this because when I think of momentum like Spider-Man, especially if you played it on PS4, you're like, damn man, Spider-Man feels great moving in New York on the PS4.
Like anime hero,
swinging into buildings.
Yeah. In buildings, running up buildings, like that shit was so cool. Like, I'm like, damn, what? Imagine if Insomniac had the collaboration with Sega, and they explained Sega what they can or can't do, and make Sonic look so cool, moving from building to building or from cliff to cliff with, from jumping to jumping. It feel like a damn cinematic.
The Spider Hog.
And so that would just be so badass. I want to see Sonic have some sort of collaboration with Insomniac Games.
Yep.
And
that would be a good mixture.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like, I want them to go into that direction, because yeah, it's risky, but to be honest with you, Sonic needs some sort of new way to adapt into the 3D environment. Like, the boost formula has exhausted itself. It's been used since Sonic Unleashed, and that was back in 08. And here we are in 2021.
So one of my things with Sonic is the world building. I don't think it has the greatest world building compared to like some of the things you guys mentioned, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, Jack and Daxter, Mario especially. But we're gonna just use Mario for the biggest example, I guess. Mario just has so much going on in its world. Characters are interesting. I think Sonic tried to build all these different characters so quickly. And I just remember looking at a lot of the games that came out, like the Werehog one, the Knight one, what were the other ones? This had a comic too. So there's just so many things that Sonic was trying to. Oh yeah, there was another one. It was like one with all these fantasy-looking creatures. I don't remember the name of it, but it was like it was a weird game. I think it was trying to be like Mario or something. But
Sonic and the storybook games. You had Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Yeah, there's just so much that Sonic. Yeah, there's just so many things Sonic was trying to be, and then have like they're trying to incorporate all these different worlds. It's too much.
It felt like an identity crisis at times.
He had a midlife crisis.
Like it didn't know what it wanted to be, and at least we know that in games like Zelda, Mario, Halo, we all know that they're going to be who they are because they stick with their guns, but they evolved over time.
Yeah.
You know, whether you like it or not, Halo has evolved. You know, and same thing with Mario and Zelda. They all adapted in some sort of new format. Even Assassin's Creed did something different, even if the current format is questionable. But the point is that they tried something different. They weren't holding back. And I want Sega to look deep in themselves, you know,
look at their heart,
and get their heads, you know, out of their asses and actually understand that we want a game, but we don't want mediocrity.
Yeah, they need to establish like a lot of the games you just mentioned. They have an established lore and a world, so it doesn't necessarily. Some of the elements they bring in don't necessarily betray the basic foundations that the world was created on. Sonic's always something new. That's what I'm saying. Like it's always Black Knight, the Werehog or whatever.
Racing games.
Yeah, the racing games. You really just want to keep Sonic, Dr. Eggman. And you can keep some of the other characters Sonic knows, but it should really be those two characters. Yeah, Tails. Like better is like great example with Mario. Like I know I'm gonna see Goombas. I know I'm gonna fight those little turtles or whatever.
Koopas.
Yeah. So the Koopas, yeah, the piranha plants are always gonna come fighting, and then I'm gonna fight the Bowser's kids or whatever. Yeah. And then I'm gonna move on to a different castle to go save Prince Peach. Like it's the same world building. He's gonna go save the princess. Zelda, I gotta go beat the bosses and get there. Yeah, to go beat Ganon or whatever. Halo, War, it's a sci-fi universe. They still keep it consistent with the Forerunners and stuff like that, and showing what happens after. Yeah, basically showing what happens after a post-war era.
Yep.
So there's already a world built, and they just continue. Sonic is trying to beat so many things. They just need to get the world building right. If they can get the world right, then they're perfect. Then they're great.
So going back into that question about should Sonic reboot itself or soft reboot, yes, I would say so. And it can work because if you look into a lot of the stuff from the history, you had Archie Comics, Sonic, and then of course then they had that dispute with Ken Penders a few years back. And Penders won the case, so they had to go and do this giant reboot. But then Archie eventually kind of ended the collaboration with Sonic, and then IDW picked it up. That's basically rebooting the franchise, and then the writing got good. So if they could at least get some sort of writers where it doesn't have to be edgy. Edgy doesn't always mean good.
Look at Shadow. He's good.
I mean, but what I want out of a reboot from Sonic is compelling storytelling, but also new dynamics for Sonic to kind of put himself in new situations where sometimes he may not need to be cocky, or he can't keep up with the attitude he has, especially in dangerous situations, or if his weakness is being shown. I would like to see things like that being introduced. Maybe him getting, showing more character dynamics with Tails. Tails is a legacy character. Knuckles is one too. Eggman, Amy, Shadow. They should all have some sort of dynamic with each other when it comes to storytelling. So it can work. It just needs to be done in a way where it's not too kid-hearted, but it's also it's reasonable for all audiences. So, Sonic Adventure had some pretty cool themes, about
Guarded, baby.
Adventure had some cool things or concepts where, like, sometimes you need to believe in yourself in order to achieve your goals, or sometimes just live life to your fullest.
As soon as you said believe in yourself, I was thinking of the Sonic Forces, or it might not be Sonic Forces song. It doesn't matter.
Oh god.
It's from Sonic Adventure. It's from Sonic Adventure. I would know. Believe me. But yeah, I would just love to see them do some sort of collaboration with Insomniac. I think I would just go nuts. Like, I don't care how long it takes.
There was a rumor a while back that was saying Microsoft was going to buy out Sega. I don't think it's going to happen. But
no, they shouldn't.
Yeah, they should. They should.
To me, as a hardcore fan, I would rather see Sega die on the hill that they were on.
Die on the battlefield they fought on.
I'm from the era when they had competition. That Genesis was my first console ever, and I will be damned if they got bought out by some company that I would not be happy with.
Plot twist. Nintendo
Microsoft
buys them.
Budget,
wow! I would love to see that. That'd be good.
I
really hope.
Partially happy for that though, because when we got onto the topic of Sonic and how it might be rebooted, all I kept thinking about was, like, what if Sonic was played in a Metroidvania, such as like Metroid Prime, with the technicality of Super Metroid, where if you understand the basic movement mechanics, you might be able to utilize speedrunning tactics. And if the world is developed well enough where you might have access to, like, later game bosses early on that you're not supposed to defeat, that could bring in that dynamic of Sonic's character flaws. He is too forward, too aggressive, and very cocky. So, like, you show up to a boss, you're not ready to fight, well, you're expected to lose. But for those who play well and able to defeat those bosses, it might have, like, yeah, Sonic, he may be cocky, but at least Sonic, i.e. the player, has the skills to get through. Has the skills to pay the bills.
That would definitely be an interesting dynamic. It rewards people for being for playing well, or it might just it might just, like how you say, discourage the characteristics too when you think about it. So I think that Sonic just needs to have more, I say, layers of his character. I think, to me, it's nice to see them happy-go-lucky, but sometimes I think my issues with Mario is that Mario is always so one-dimensional every time. Always, he doesn't care about what he does to save the princess. Or he doesn't, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, he'll just get the cake. But I think, but I'm not asking for Mario to have, like, a Academy Award-winning writing. I just think that maybe Mario should have some sort of, like, expression. But then again, Mario is kind of, like, has always been one-dimensional over the years. The only characteristics he can always display was his expressions in the game.
Well, what other games did we? What other games did other people like?
Oh, I was actually impressed when I saw Metroid Dread.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Metroidvania Metroid Dread. It was looking
Back,
really
baby.
solid.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what's this? It reminds me very heavily of the Metro Fusion game back on the GBA. Of course, apparently it takes place after it, but I was happy to see, another platformer for Metroid come out, because the last one came out like sometime on the October or something. I don't know, like 2 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't know. It's been forever. But yeah, I'm just like looking forward to see what they do, because I kind of missed the kind of horror / suspense side of Metroid.
Never played it.
Oh, never? Oh, I
No,
recommend it.
None of the Metroid games ever?
Never.
Interesting.
Alright, so it all
We need
starts
to change that.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
I have a...
Super
It's in
Metroid.
space.
Yeah.
It's in space. It's all space. You like space.
But yeah, but yeah, like
And then,
Metroid was really cool. It looked like it was going back to how it used to be, which is great.
yeah, of course. Alright, like just watching it, I was like, oh, that's kind of like, I would say like, I know playing it and want to be like, oh shit, that thing is back, I can't kill, want to run, like back in Fusion, when you had that, like spoilers, sorry, there's another Metroid, yeah, spoiler alert, there's another version.
Who are you spoiling? Oh, sorry, I'm losing it. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Wow, he's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, keep going.
Anyway, so anyone who hasn't played the game or franchise, whatever, there's a part where like you're just like, first you're like, what's going on? Because you were like sent on a mission to like explore this lab, which they didn't tell you all the details first off. They just paid you to go investigate this scenario, like what's going on? Yeah, we're not sending you in a trap. But then afterwards, you are like seeing like a bunch of little viruses, which eventually contaminate you, but like through Dex Machina, whatever, you're able to like coexist with the virus, and then you can absorb more and get your health back, and then slowly get power-ups with it. And then eventually it just shows another version of you, which you can't kill, can't do anything. It just runs at you no matter what you do. All you gotta do is just run. And yeah, pretty much. I'm just like looking forward to that. Like I think Nintendo for me had like a good chunk of like oh, I'm actually going to buy this game, because everything else was like maybe, like I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, for Nintendo, I would say Breath of the Wild was for me. Some people say it looked like
Expansion.
an expansion for some
It is.
reason.
It does look like an expansion. I'm not saying it's not going to be great. I'm just
It's the
saying
same
it's like an
world.
expansion.
It's the same world, same guy. DLC. Yep. Confirmed.
Master Chief has DLC.
But you never know. I mean, it depends on how much they put into it.
Yeah, it's like
Put a lot of work into it.
I want to like use the Miles Morales game as an example. That one felt like DLC, honestly. It it was cool, it was great, but it was like very short. It felt like DLC, if anything. It was just its own thing. Yeah,
Like,
that's
Yeah.
unfortunately how it is.
see,
Hopefully,
that's what I wanted to
it's
hear
not that
too.
pigment.
Is yeah, you were right about that. Now that I think about it, because Miles Morales looked like they used a lot of assets from the Spider-Man game.
yeah,
so
maybe they'll do the same with Breath of the Wild. Who knows?
But they did use some of the landscapes from Breath of the Wild 1.
They use
so
Hyrule.
they reused a lot of assets. We all know that much. But however, they introduced some new dynamics and new features that you can do, like skydiving. That's cool.
But it's
So
the same model.
That's fine.
it's
I mean-
fine. It's different enough to say, oh, you can do that now. Or
I'm
you
sure the
can
game's
go-
going to be awesome.
It's gonna be great, and I'm going to.
Expectations high. Let's go in with that. Yeah.
It's a Zelda game. I don't have to worry about it.
Link gets absorbed by the Venom goop. He becomes
I mean,
Venom.
that would be cool.
Wow.
I mean, I like the
Venomized.
idea of Link having
That's
his
Hyrule
arm.
version.
Zelda's always had a good track record.
And Zelda's gonna be hard to save this time. The Electric Boogaloo.
Stop.
Breath of the Wild 2, Electric Boogaloo.
You need to stop right now.
I guess what they might be doing with Breath of the Wild 2 is they're adding these features as a kind of test to see, what features really take off for, player enjoyment. And those excellent features that are rated the highest among fans will be like the default features, probably for the true sequel. If we're still continuing along the idea that this is going to be a DLC. So maybe like they're going to introduce something where skydiving is almost crucial in order for, proper world exploration or reaching main objectives.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it looks like an expansion. It's not going to be. I mean, clearly it's not, but I'm just saying it looks like that. That has a lot to do with Nintendo's hardware.
The Switch.
So it's. But again, I don't really like graphics. Again, people are too focused on graphics for games and not about the game itself
or the hardware.
Or the hardware, yeah. Like Zelda Breath of the Wild is. I mean, it's a great looking game. It's not as beautiful. It's not as beautiful as Last of Us or whatever. But I think artistically, it looks better, and the world's better.
New air, fresh air.
So.
Just think that I think Nintendo really needs to start investing in the idea of that hardware does matter because, well, let's be real here, it'll be easier for third parties to develop, meaning, better production times for the system, I'm guessing. I mean, granted, when I say stuff like that, it makes it sound like it's easy on paper, obviously, but in the long run, at least it'll be happy people or consumers being like, damn, I can finally be able to play Breath of the Wild at 60 frames on the Switch.
I have a stroke on the fire.
Nintendo's like, let's put a smile on your face with this new Zelda game expansion.
Yeah. And I 12 frames.
12 frames.
Oh god.
It's the same thing, but
like when you see lightning, it just has a.
The true Nintendo 64 experience for the Switch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm looking forward to Elden Ring.
oh yeah, definitely. That was the highlight for me. All this time, just waiting out. I was like, man, is this going to be announced at all? I didn't think of much of it. I was like, oh, it is what it is. If it shows up, it shows up. But then, bam, masterpiece.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I don't think he's ever. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Like his whole, that whole genre, he's the king of that genre. He's made that.
He mastered the format.
Yeah, so he doesn't really need to do much. People were saying it was, he could just make Dark Souls 4. Honestly, it could have been called Dark Souls 4 or called anything else. I'm still gonna buy it.
Yeah.
I loved those games. So,
I'll save the world one last time.
Something about the perfect parry that's always enjoyable.
yeah.
I wonder if there's any dragons. I don't
There's
know.
always gonna be dragons.
Oh, there was one dragon that shot lightning at you in the trailer, so clearly it's
Yeah.
dragon.
I mean, Game of Thrones dragon never showed up until last second.
Yeah, but
Same.
there'll be dragons. There'll be dragons.
Yeah, that's what he says.
I'm pretty sure it'll be a good time. But yeah, I mean, now that we've talked about a lot of the good stuff, let's talk about some of the bad stuff.
The Ubisoft conference, everything else before Nintendo and Microsoft, and we call it a day.
Square Enix, yeah.
Square Enix was awful.
Man, I was disappointed.
Cherfield will cry.
I already forgot.
Yeah.
Bandai, whatever. I was disappointed with that.
One
It was one game.
Bankai.
That's it.
Bankai Namco.
And they showed one game. It wasn't that great. I was like, okay,
Hey,
is there more?
It's a horror game. I'm interested.
You were waiting for Digimon Survivor.
Yes, I was.
Eat.
I guess
Hero,
it didn't
just
survive.
let it go. It's dead.
I guess
That game
Digimon
got announced
needs
last
survive.
year, didn't it?
Digimon needs my help one more time to survive. Believe
It's
it.
in development. Let it
Out
go.
of all the funds I need, I
It was
can't.
all a dream.
Oh, man,
Pokemon will live again.
we've had the where NX was garbage. I mean, I wasn't too interested in the Guardians of.
Oh.
It looked like Avengers but in space. And that game
Company,
already
man.
Exactly
flopped.
what it was.
What company was the one that had I forgot the name. Borderlands. Who were those again?
Gearbox?
That is
Gearbox? Yeah, that was disappointing too. They spent most of the whole thing talking about movie. That okay, great. That's a movie that's coming out. Great, awesome. If I'm a fan, I'll probably check it out. But I want to see gameplay. I want to see games, not about a movie. I could watch that somewhere else, not here.
Yeah, it could have been revealed on a YouTube channel for all we
Yeah,
know.
but no, you had to do it here. I know, right? Guess what, guys? We're showcasing this new movie. Go watch it. Man.
Yeah.
Eli's like, what?
Well, I guess sometimes it's about, owning the spot rather than letting someone else take it. So, I guess it's any news is good news for fans of the franchise, but
Except for Mankai fans.
yeah, I mean,
Mankai
when you
fans.
don't have much to show, it's going to look not as great regardless.
They should have been banned. They died. Get it, banned out.
I guess they just went with the losses and wanted to, put it out there.
Namco stands for nah, there ain't no more.
But then Forza got showed, and some people didn't care, but I thought that was interesting. I like
For
some of the Forza Motorsport.
Oh
honestly,
yeah. Clay was having a fit about it.
There was another game that they showed. I can't remember. Square Enix.
Square.
Is there a game that's coming out called Forsaken?
There's a new Life is Strange.
I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested.
Teen
Final
Ninja,
Fantasy.
Stranger Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, and
Babylon's Fall.
Forsaken the World?
yeah, Babylon Fall. Oh, Black Panther apparently. No, wait, is that?
I think
Yeah.
like
Guardians of the Galaxy. They had Pixel Remaster collection for some Final Fantasy thing, and then the whole Avengers thing where you can play as Black Panther, Babylon's Fall, and yeah, Strangers in Paradise.
not
That's
many
fun.
interesting games.
Other than probably the Final Fantasy collection, or just like the Pixel remaster thing.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah, it is.
premiere. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I heard that apparently you can get all that stuff elsewhere. Like, they for some reason are releasing it, even though it's still accessible. The remaster, whatever stuff. That's at least what I heard.
Interesting.
Yeah, a little disappointment for some people who are very hardcore fans of that.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Steam releases, in which case they may have done some graphic updates, like with Final Fantasy VIII, like a remaster, and you can get all of them on Steam. So just having them in a bundle elsewhere, only true hardcore fans might get them elsewhere.
Yeah.
But then
Right.
again, they're remastering 6, which is definitely one of the beloved Final Fantasies. Like 9 is probably the most favorite out of all of them. 6
Right.
is like probably the best Super Nintendo one. Final Fantasy 7, big fan turnout. Final Fantasy 10 I'd say is really big. 8 is big. It was never big as the others.
8 out of 8.
And I think for the rest, it has a little bit more of a niche.
I think 13 was probably the most polarizing in the modern ones. The Lightning Saga.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one seems to be the most polarizing Final Fantasy.
So I guess going forward, what else? What other games do you What other games do you want to see? Like,
Well,
that it wasn't shown or that.
Oh, it wasn't shown. You already know
see.
Digimon Survive.
Let it go. It's dead.
For
No,
me,
it's still
earlier,
for
but
me,
go ahead first.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. The one that I personally want to see was the new Sonic game. I wanted to see a
Sonic.
demo.
No. Well, you already said Sonic though.
Sonic Boogaloo.
Yeah, but you
Awaken.
mentioned that it wasn't showcased at E3.
Oh well, yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
So yeah, it wasn't showcased at E3.
Did Sega even have a panel?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't remember
I
seeing anything.
thought they did, but they must have been.
I
in
don't think
some
they
other-
did. I'm looking at this. I don't see anything about Sega.
Right. So
They're absent.
I wanted to see that as well as a Minish Cap remake
Hey.
for Zelda 35th
On the Switch.
or the Oracle Games remake,
On the Switch.
whichever. Personally speaking, I
Or on the new
Minish Cap
gen.
remake.
Yeah.
And they, yeah, that and I wanted to see an update with Metroid Prime 4.
Oh yeah, they kind of they skipped it and just went to Metro Prime 5.
And, right?
Dante, what about you? What do you want to see?
Let us know.
Wow. Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Well, let's see. What do I want to see? What am I excited for?
Something that wasn't shown that you want to like see brought
You
back,
low-key wanted
or
to see.
you want to see like a sequel. To
Okay.
something.
Yeah, low-key, I wanted to see a Fire Emblem Genealogy remake. That ain't gonna happen, but I did get Advance Wars, so I'll take it.
Or new not Final Fantasy.
Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem game, yeah.
I wanted a remake of Genealogy. Everyone in the Fire Emblem fandom wanted a remake, but we'll wait longer.
Or they can continue with a new thing.
Well, I'm happy they brought back Advance Wars. It's been like how many years since the game came out?
29.
Like GBA.
Yeah.
I think the last ones were on the DS, the original DS.
Oh.
yeah. So I'm happy that they got this reboot going.
2006.
Yeah, around that.
I'd call it more of a revival at that point.
Yeah, like I
1988.
texted Desperado that one time. I was screaming in chat. I was like, oh.
I wanted
I was
to,
like,
you know, speaking of advanced, I wanted to see Pikmin 4.
That's cool.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that would have been great. Yeah.
I would have
Best water physics.
No, it's
Place
not.
says
These
best
Oh, it is.
water
These are
physics.
water physics.
Fight me.
IRL? Okay, where are we meeting?
I don't
Meeting
know.
at the bar.
Oh, it's like, meet me at Sue's Bake Shop.
Wow. Huh.
Meet you
parking
at
lot.
Elevation Burger.
Bring your
Oh, okay.
Bring a
Man,
copy
you know
of
what?
Pikmin.
I'll take your main to Olive Garden too.
Hey,
Bring a copy of Pikmin 6, the Electric Bugly with Awakening 5.
Tier Feel. What game
Hey.
do you want to see, or that wasn't shown?
Funnily enough, we kind of mentioned it earlier. We haven't seen Sly Cooper at all
I guess he's
in,
too sly to
in
show
the
up.
longest time. Like both Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter series have sort of fell off the face of the earth, while Ratchet and Clank have grown.
Hey, what
I mean,
I don't think they're gonna go back to those games.
yeah. Insomniac Games made Ratchet and Clank, and I mean, I love them. Granted, I didn't play as much Jack and Daxter, but I had Sly Cooper 3, and it was fun. But
Yeah, I was Ratchet and Clank person. I like Ratchet. I had the first, second, then I think I skipped a few, but I played Ratchet and Clank Deadlock. That was my favorite Ratchet. The one that's like a gladiator game. Yeah, that was my favorite.
I've
You know-
only played the first one, and then like
Dang.
from then on, it was like, ooh, going commando. I want to play that one. Ooh, up your arsenal. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
I was like, and now the PS5 one, I was like, this looks great.
what about
Yeah.
you, Anime Hero?
Oh, let's see.
MMA hero.
Ah,
I said anime.
Anime, yeah.
God,
Oh, I
I just want
heard
to strangle you. I really just want to strangle you.
I heard MMA hero.
Alright, let's see. I was maybe looking for some new USPN, UCF fighting. You know, the MMA scene is kind of low key.
Wait, I was
quiet right now.
For a second.
We need some
I
new,
think he's playing.
Yeah.
He's serious.
That's serious. Just like that new Bruce Lee DLC they always give us. Bliss. Yeah, those
Daniel LaRusso DLC.
perfect.
Oh,
Those
geez.
hitboxes, perfect. Right out of the way, you gotta mash the buttons to do combos. Perfect.
Oh,
Everything about that game franchise, perfect. We need a
What
sixth
about
one,
you?
man. The Awakening prequel.
What about you,
Sway?
Sway?
Sway.
I want to see Fable.
Favorite.
They're
Wait,
bringing-
they show something. They show something.
Wait,
They
that
showed
still
it last. They showed it at E3. They showed it at last E3. They didn't show it at this one. But they brought it. They're bringing it back. But I'm kind of interested to see if Fable can survive the current climate.
You know, I would love people saying, "Oh, Leafy, come back." I would love to see Leafy come back and try to exist in the landscape today. Like the content that he was making would never fly on YouTube today, and you have to adapt and overcome the fact that like you can't even curse, bro. Like I don't know.
in games.
no.
I don't think it can.
I would have, if I could edit that, I'll probably insert that H3 survival in the current climate.
Because I don't. Fable is like that. It's like those like it's not a comedy game, but it's like black comedy or dark comedy.
It's a fairy tale.
It's like a fairy tale, you know. And the game, the combat system, it's okay, but it's nothing compared to other action RPGs out there. Like Fable's got to compete with
Like
Dog
Shin
Bowl,
Megami Tensei.
Elden Ring, Dragon Age is coming at some point. I'm still very looking forward to that. It just has so many games that it has to compete with. Fable practically has to become a completely different game. So I'm interested to see where they take it whenever they bring it back. So I think it's going to be. We'll probably see something at next year's E3 probably. So looking
You know
forward
why I
to
know where they're gonna take it? To the grave.
Dang.
that. But anyway, yeah. Nothing else really. Avowed probably, but we don't know much.
We're still waiting for Half-Life 3 to this day. We're still waiting, boys.
You know damn well I am.
Like, we got the
Half-Life.
balloons ready and everything.
I'm ready for the biggest pop-up of the century. Oh my gosh. Oh man.
It's been development hell.
It looks like we've had quite a long discussion in regards to E3 and our first podcast. So it looks like we'll have to end it here for today, since this was primarily focused on E3. Next podcast we'll go and talk about other things and see. We'll see what we'll do from there, and hopefully we'll be more prepared for future discussions as we keep doing these podcasts. So, you know,
More
thank you very much
Than
for
others.
I say I give it 3 out of 5 in general.
E3 in general. Actually, we should do a rating. So
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 for the entirety of E3.
Yep.
What about you, Sway?
5 out of 10.
What about you, Dante?
Featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Yes.
3.5 out of 5.
And Tier?
2.5. There were some highlights, but I wasn't interested.
You want my honest opinion? I gotta agree with you. 2.5. There's not enough going around saying that, wow, this is cool, everybody's popping off. It's not that. It's just like a bunch of mediocre announcements. Like, to me, I didn't care about the Guardians of the Galaxy reveal. I was like, you botched Avengers. Why would you continue making other games related to the Avengers franchise?
So Mr. Blue Sky could play in the background.
Right. Other than that, though, it looks like we've pretty much ran out of the discussion here for this E3 edition of the Desperados Lounge. Thank you very much for listening in. We'll be uploading another episode very soon, roughly around next week or the week after. Really depends on the production time.
6 months from now. Keep an eye.
But for the most part, thank you for watching. Share the video.
Please like, comment, subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it.
Yep, and we are out.